On May 2nd, 2013, 26-year-old Jordan Baker was found stabbed to death at his cousin's house in the small Alaskan town of Minto. The alarm was raised by his ex-girlfriend, Carlene Charlie, who had spent most of the evening with Jordan and another friend, Tyler, while Jordan house-sat for his cousin. Carlene told police she had briefly gone home. She said when she returned to Jordan's cousin's house, she had seen a hooded figure leaving the property, before finding Jordan bleeding on the couch. Later that morning, investigators questioned Carlene.
Hi.
Sorry for making a little mess on you.
Is there a place that I can maybe talk to her?
In the bedroom? No, just take her.
Yeah, bedroom.
Straight. Use the bedroom back there. Yeah. Carlene, go with her. She's doing her same clothes and everything, never washed up or anything either, so.
Okay. All right.
Now I recognize her.
Huh?
I recognize her now.
Yeah.
Thank you for...
Sorry for dirtying up your floor.
Wherever you're comfortable, okay? Do you mind if I sit down?
No,
that's okay. It's easier sometimes than kneeling all the time.
Yeah.
So, Carlene, I'm Investigator Hansen. I'm stationed in okay. And I just want to make sure I have everything right with you, okay? Let me spell your first name. Carlene, C-A-R-L-E-E-N. Do you have a middle initial or not?
Yeah.
Go ahead and close the door.
I'm going to close the door.
Yeah. And your last name? And what's your birthday? And what's a good telephone number for you?
My cell number is...
That's a cell?
Yeah.
Okay. And where are you currently living?
I'm living in Anchorage, but I came to Minto to take the path test for the firefighting.
Okay. So what's your address and your
Do you work? No, I'm unemployed.
So you were just visiting?
Huh?
You were just visiting?
I was visiting on Saturday.
Okay. This coming Saturday?
Yeah.
So how long have you been back to Minto? When did you get here?
Before the basketball shootout, it was...
That started Friday.
Last Friday?
Yeah, last Friday.
So like April
26.
26? Does that sound familiar? So it was that Friday. And are you staying here with Rudy the whole time? Or
I stayed on at my house down the street.
Oh, you have family still here?
My cousins just took off to Anchorage because that's her house address there.
Okay.
And Francine's my cousin and Rudy's her husband.
Oh, okay. Alright. So, Carlene, with you, I'm going to probably need to know, like, what was going on last night, because my understanding is you guys were together, but I'm not sure. So, what I'd like to do is, from the time you and Jordan were together, either yesterday or whatever time, what happened from there, so that I can kind of get an idea.
We've been staying down at that house for about, I want to say 3 or 4 days, ever since the owner and his girlfriend got kicked out. We were just staying there to keep it, make sure nothing happens and just keeping it warm and everything. Mm-hmm. We stayed down there for about 3, 4 days. It's something like that.
Okay.
And I'm the one that actually started the fire down there to keep it warm in the stove.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been staying there, me and Jordan. We've just been just taking care of that house. And this one night, I want to say it was about 4 days ago, we did drink together, and we went down to the house, and we were both drunk. I remember that because I had a bottle on me, and and I just decided to let him stay there by himself because I wanted to go out and hang out with different friends, and he stayed down there. I don't know if he stayed there all night, but I left him down there, and I just decided to go home because I usually don't like to be around him when he's intoxicated, and so I took off, and the next morning he comes knocking on the door down at the house, and he's okay, and we end up going to the store. And then we walked back to my house to pick up a couple of movies, and then we went back down to Galen's house, and we just stayed there and watched movies. And
what, do you remember what day that was?
that was about, let's see, today's the 3rd.
Today's the 2nd.
It was about maybe on the 29th.
Okay, so like Sunday?
Yeah.
So Sunday you were watching movies?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you do that all day and all night, or did you spend the night?
Yeah, we stayed down there together. He slept on one couch, and I slept on the other big couch, and we just watched movies. I believe we stayed up till like 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I went to sleep because I was exhausted and tired. And yeah, we woke up the next morning, and I remember we didn't leave till about 2:30.
So you're talking like Monday?
Yeah, we didn't leave till 2:30.
In the afternoon, or?
Yeah, we went to go walk up to his grandma's.
Okay.
We went up to his grandma's to go. He wanted to call his mom to ask his mom to use the van, and I just stood out in the living room of his grandma's house, and I just started talking to her and everything. We were both okay at the time. And he was in the room, and I was out in the living room with his grandma.
Okay, meaning you weren't drinking or anything like that?
No, we weren't drinking.
Okay.
And he called his mom, and he was upset because his mom wouldn't let him use the van to go down to this planting class down at the lodge. And obviously that got canceled that day, so we ended up walking to my house. We walked to my house, and we picked up some microwave food that I had at the house, and then we head back down to that Galen's house.
Do you remember what time that was?
No, not really. It was still daylight hours like this, so it's probably like...
Well, you left at about 2:30, so you kind of went around and realized the planting class was done, so you go back to your house, and so probably later afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, we basically just hung out down at that house because he wanted to watch the house. And he gave me the key to go in there while he walked up to his grandma's house. I went in there, and I started the fire. I put wood in the fire and everything, and I just hung out down there. I put on a movie, waited for him. I think I waited about 3-4 hours for him to come back. And he finally showed up, and he brought some food down from his grandma's to cook. And he brought two things of steak. I remember we cooked one a few days ago, and we saved the other 2 in the fridge. He marinated one, and we cooked that last night. But the first one we cooked about a couple days ago. And we just ate microwave food for past couple of days in between that. And then finally he just decided to cook the steak he marinated in the fridge. And then last night when we were eating, before we started eating, he was up here at his family's house because his grandma was coming back from town.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I was over there with him all day because his grandma went to town over at Jennings. Mm-hmm. And I hung out with him over there, and his mom and her boyfriend came over, picked up the key to Galen's house because they needed to grab some stuff. And then he went back over to his mom's house to pick up the key to Galen's house, and he came back over to his grandma's house where I just stayed there while he ran back and forth. And then he told me that his grandma was due to be back in Minto from Fairbanks at 10 o'clock. So I left Jenny's at 10 o'clock to go down to Galen's. Mm-hmm. And I had the key. I opened it. I went in and I fired it. I remember I went out, I put wood in the stove from the back porch. And then I fed the dog that was there. And then it was he stayed up here until, I know I kept watching the time. It was like 10:15.
Yeah,
10:15 p.m. And I was sitting there watching a movie, and he comes into the house and asks, where's Jordan at and everything. And I told him where he was, that he was up at his grandma's. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember I seen him. He was packing in groceries for his grandma. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah, he was supposed to wait for her to come back to Fairbanks. And he was sober at the time. And I was sober and Jordan was sober. And then he stays there for about maybe 20 minutes, just sitting there hanging out, watching the video with me. And then finally he gets up and says, I'm going to go look for a cigarette. I'll be back later. And he leaves. It's about maybe 10:30 or 10:20, something like that.
Okay. He
gets up and he leaves. And then around 11:20, Jordan comes in. And he comes in and he brings a bag of soda. He had 2 sodas. And he gave me one. And I had the other, he had the other one. Mm-hmm. And I was just sitting there watching the movie, and I remember telling him, I said, it took you long enough. And he said, oh yeah, I went over to Dee Dee's to go smoke marijuana with her, because he smokes marijuana. And I said, oh, okay, so you were hanging out there for a while? He said, yeah. And he said that, he said a few things like telling me that Dee Dee was looking for this guy named Kyle Titus, and he asked me if I seen him anywhere, and I told him, yeah, as I was walking down, I seen Kyle and this boy named Mitchell driving out the road. They were driving around, and I had no idea that what was going on. Anyways, as I was walking down, I walked down to the house after I seen them. But anyways, I'm getting back. And I told him, I said, that was the only time I saw Kyle Titus. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, okay, well, Dee Dee is looking for him. And I said, why? And he's like, supposedly he has alcohol. And I said, oh, okay. And we just sat there. We sat there, and he came and sat on the couch right beside me. I was reclining in the couch watching the movie that I brought down. And he looks at me and says, I'm hungry. And I said, well, you still got that steak in the fridge. Why don't you cook it? And he looks at me and he said, do you want the other half? And I said, yeah, I don't mind. And he gets it and he cooks it. And I remember it was late because we were both laughing. We were laughing because it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And he was laughing at me saying, oh my God, we're having dinner at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I said, I know. Well, you shouldn't have took so long to come back. But anyways, he cooked steak and everything. And there was mushrooms and onions in there. And we had corn and beans. He finished his plate before mine. I was still eating mine. And then I want to say it was like around almost like 2:45 back in the house. Drunk, just really intoxicated. And he comes in and because Jordan was opening the door and was standing there. Mm-hmm. And Jordan got scared and he was like, oh my God, I kind of figured somebody was going to be out by the door. And he was like really drunk, just laughing at him saying, oh, I scared you and everything. And he looks at Jordan and Jordan looks at him and he says, what are you doing? Is there something that you need? And he said, no, I came down to drink with you. And he pulls out 2 bottles of R&R. 2 bottles of R&R out of his pants area. Mm-hmm. And Jordan got happy. He was like, man, I was looking to drink all day. I was trying to look for Kyle, but I couldn't find him. And I was just listening to them as they were talking. And they were just, rambling about drinking and everything. And tells them, well, here, you can have a shot. And they start drinking amongst each other. Mm-hmm. And then he looks at me and says, give Carlene a shot. And I look at them and I told Jordan, I said, I don't think this is a good idea. What if somebody sees him come in here? Because he's underage. I don't know how old he is, but he told me he was 18 because I told Jordan, I said, I don't think this is a good idea for us to be drinking with him. Mm-hmm. And Jordan didn't really care because, the alcohol was there and he was sitting on the couch and he was talking to me. And he said, you're not going to get us in trouble or anything, are you? Because me and Carlene are over the drinking age. He said 21 and over. And it's like, yeah, we're good. Nobody's going to find out. Mm-hmm. And Jordan was saying like, what if your mom comes down here and looks for you? And he kept saying like, I don't go to school here anymore. I don't go to school here anymore. My mom is happy that I'm in the village. She ain't gonna worry about me. She doesn't even know where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there listening to them and I started to drink. I started to drink with them. And I was eating my food and I was drinking at the same time. I was drinking and chasing it with juice. Mm-hmm. And I picked up the knife and I grabbed the steak and I was intoxicated, cause I was trying to eat and I cut my hand with the knife and I told Jordan, I said, I cut my hand with the steak knife and he says, okay, well, I'll try to look for a Band-Aid for you. And he was looking around in the kitchen and everything and we couldn't find one. Mm-hmm. And because we looked everywhere in the kitchen area and there was a dresser by the door. We looked in that area and we couldn't find any kind of Band-Aid. So I told him, I said, you know what? I'll just run down my house and see if I can find any kind of Band-Aid to wrap up my finger with. And I said, you guys will be alright? And Jordan was like, yeah, we'll be fine. You take your time. Don't come back too soon. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to run down there and come back. And he was like, okay, you go do that. And he was sitting by the table there. And I walked out and I left him and there.
Do you remember what time you left them alone?
I left them, it was like about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I went down to my house and I stopped at the lodge. I stopped at the lodge to warm up because it was cold out. But the lodge was locked. So I just continued walking to my house because it's just right behind the lodge. And I remember seeing my door open. Like I had it tied up. And for some reason the knot in there was broken. Like the rope was broken. Mm-hmm. Like somebody had just forced their way in there. And the stick that we used to lock our door with was down by the door, so I had to push my way to get into the house, and I was wondering, what is this? And I put the board back up. I put the board back up and I look around the house to make sure nobody was in there. I looked around to make sure nothing was stolen or anything. And then I went to the first aid kit and I grabbed a Band-Aid. And I wrapped up my finger with it and I walked out.
Which finger was it that you?
This one.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, you sliced that one pretty good.
Yeah. And then I walked out of my house and I remember looking at the rope because I was trying to tie it and the rope was broken. And I was like, I wonder who could have came here. And then I just shut the door and I continued to walk down Middle Street. I walked down the Middle Street.
Is the Middle Street the one that's like in between what they call Front Street and then there's...
Yeah, it's like the second street down here.
Middle
I walked all the way down and then I remember my finger hurting really bad and I took the Band-Aid off. And it was just bloody, you know. And I took it off and I just tossed it. And I was still staggering around and I made this turn right in between these houses down here. I made the turn in between those houses. And then as I was going on the trail down here, I was making my way toward Galen's house. Mm-hmm. And as I was making my way toward Galen's house, I heard some kind of noise, like people fighting. Mm-hmm. And then I was wondering, like, what could, where's that coming from? So I kept walking, and I got halfway there, and comes out of the house. And he goes by the boat and he goes like this, and he picks up something. And he continues walking out toward the road. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, he's probably... I don't know what happened after that. I just remember seeing him leave. He was running out the door. And he ran by the boat down there. And then behind the boat, he reached down to pick up something. Mm-hmm. And then he just continued running, and I just walked down to the house, and I was wondering what's going on, like, why is he running away?
What was he wearing at that time, do you remember?
He was wearing a sweater. Mm-hmm. He came in with a hat. Mm-hmm. He was wearing a sweater, a hat,
do you remember
and
the color
blue
of the sweater?
jeans. Huh?
Do you remember what color it was?
It was like grayish, okay. And it had the strings coming down.
Okay. So it had like a hood attached to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember I was walking back into the house and
if you need a break, okay, you can take a break at any time, alright?
So that'd be some tissues, yeah. You have some tissues, your Kleenex. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Here you go.
That's what I found, Jordan.
Okay.
I remember I was so freaked out. I was still intoxicated. I was freaked out. I ran over to him and he was trying to talk to me. He was making these moaning sounds and his lips were white, and I grabbed him and I was like trying to feel for his pulse. I ran into the kitchen. I ran into the kitchen. I grabbed the oven mitt and I placed it on him. And I grabbed him behind his head. I said, "Hold on." Hold on, just hold on. And I ran out. And I ran up that trail and I yelled for help. And I ran by Rabbi's house. It's on the right side of the middle street. I ran by Rabbi's house.
Is it Rami or
Rabbi?
Rabbi, okay.
And I was yelling for help, but nobody was around. And I remember I was running on that trail by his house and I tripped. My glasses fell off. And I stepped on my glasses. And I just kept running. And I was gonna run up to Lori's and it was too far to run, so I ran back because I didn't want to leave Jordan. I ran back into the house. I took my sweater off by Rabbi's. I took my sweater off and I went back into the house. And he was still trying to breathe and moan. I told him, "Hold on, I'll call your mom." So I headed over toward Roy Charlie's house. And I went in there and my cousin Dingy was passed out on the couch. And I found the phone on the floor and I picked it up and I called his mom and I told her, I said, "I need your help. I need you to come down to Galen's." And she kept telling me, "Calm down, Carlene, calm down. What's going on?" And I said, I found Jordan. He's been stabbed. And she thought it was me. And I told her no. I said, I found him. I found him.
I need something like that. VPSO passenger stop tape 1425.
After speaking to Carlene, investigators interviewed Jordan's teen friend Tyler about what happened the night of the murder. Accompanied by his parents, Tyler denies bringing alcohol, or even drinking, saying he left when Jordan and Carlene started to get drunk. Tyler's parents stopped the interview, but while police are searching his home, they get shocking news. Carlene had been airlifted to hospital after stabbing herself with a knife. Investigators rush to the hospital, where they find Carlene undergoing emergency surgery. As soon as she's stabilized, detectives question her again.
Time is now 4:55. We're going to make contact with Carlene Charlie, room 319 at FMH. She's a bed one.
Come on in.
Hi. There we are. Carlene, hi. Hi, Carlene. Do you remember me from yesterday? Hi, it's Trooper Hansen, okay? Hi, thanks.
Did you want me to leave?
Yeah, if you give us a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You look like you're in a little bit of pain there. A lot of pain. Yeah? How are you doing?
Tired.
Yeah, I bet.
Hungry.
Hungry? Yeah, are they not letting you eat anything?
I just got a
Little blow pop or ice cream pop? So, I know you made it through surgery, at least all right.
yeah.
Okay. Is that little button to give you some medicine if you need it? Yeah. Okay. I'll just pull up the chair. I don't know if you met Investigator Chang yesterday. No. We just have a couple more questions, okay? Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Investigator Ching he worked the scene, everything where Jordan was.
So I heard surgery was okay. Everything went well.
Yeah. All I remember was going into the surgery room.
Yeah. I brought your mom and your grandma up last night after you got out of recovery, so they could see you. But you were still kind of out of it.
There was some people in the room with me. I could barely focus on their faces. It was...
Mm-hmm. So what? Yesterday during this, when this stuff all happened, you said that you had told Investigator Hansen that you had left earlier that evening. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I left to go check on my house and to go get a Band-Aid for my finger.
Mm-hmm.
Because down at Galen's house there was no Band-Aid to wrap my finger in. Me and Jordan were that's when we started to drink after we ate dinner.
Okay.
He was sitting there with us. He was sitting on the couch in front of us. He was already intoxicated when he came in. Me and Jordan were both sober, and he brought over 2 bottles of R&R. We both started drinking on one, and drinking the other one.
What time do you think he came over?
He first came over when he was sober at around 10:15, and then he sat there for maybe 30 minutes. We were both watching a movie, and then he got up and told me that he was going to leave to go look for a cigarette. And so he left.
Was Jordan home at that time?
No.
He was.
He was up at his grandma's waiting for his grandma to come back from Fairbanks. And then when he came down, he told me that he seen her car by her house. And that Jordan was there. And that was all I asked him, is if he saw that car there. Because I was waiting for Jordan to come back home.
Okay, so when Jordan, when he came over there at 10 in the morning, what was he wearing? Do you remember?
He was wearing blue jeans, black basketball shoes, and a sweater.
What kind of sweater?
It was a hoodie. And it was one of those zip down ones.
Mm-hmm. Zips all the way down?
Yes.
And what did it look like?
It was, I believe it was gray. It was a gray sweater. And he had on a black hat. Black.
What kind of hat?
It was kind of those Carhartt kind of hats. I don't know what they're called. They go all the way over your head. A hat.
Like a knitted hat?
Yes.
You know, like not like a baseball hat. Is that what you're saying?
No. It was like a winter hat.
Mm-hmm.
Like a knit style or?
You have a paper?
Yeah. Okay.
Was there anything else distinctive about this sweatshirt that he had? You said it was gray, hooded.
Yeah.
What else?
Any other colors?
It had. It was I believe it was black and gray.
Okay. You believe that it was black and gray?
Yeah. It was gray on the shoulder areas, and it was like mixed down to black on the sides, I believe.
So kind of fading into a color.
Yeah.
And what about you? What were you wearing?
I had a t-shirt and my blue jeans on. I had blue jeans.
Were you wearing a jacket, a sweater, or anything?
No, I took my sweater off.
Where was it? When was that?
Me and Jordan, we were walking around and it was really cold. We both went down to my house, but this was way earlier before we started cooking dinner.
Mm-hmm.
He told me to put on 2 more jackets because he had 3 sweaters on himself, and he told me to get a couple of extra jackets to walk back down to Galen's with. So I had 3 sweaters on.
What kind of sweaters were they?
My under one was a white and gray striped sweater.
White and gray striped sweater?
And the middle one that I had was a slip over, gray.
Okay, the white and gray one, what did that one look like?
It was a hoodie, zip down.
Zip all the way down?
Yes.
Okay. And then the one on top of that was what? A pullover?
It was a pullover gray sweater. The zipper went down halfway. And the one I had over that one was the blue one that you saw in the yesterday.
Okay. And that was, where did you get that from?
It's my house. It's my cousin's jacket.
And who's your cousin?
Kevin Raymond.
And at what point, when you said that you started taking off your sweaters, or I don't understand that part.
As soon as we got to Galen's house, from walking to my house, I took them off because it was hot in there.
Okay, and then at that point, what were you wearing?
I was wearing my t-shirt. It was a short sleeve shirt.
Okay, so when you got back you walked back to that house, you were wearing a short sleeve t-shirt?
Yes.
Were you wearing a sweater or jacket or anything?
No, not when I got inside. I took it off right when I got inside. I took off the sweaters and I was just in my t-shirt.
Oh, okay, where were the sweaters at?
I placed them on the couch. There's a small couch in the corner of the room.
Oh, the chair?
Yeah.
Is it a chair or is it a couch?
I believe it's like a small one-seat chair.
Okay, I know which one you're talking about. The one that's right next to the long couch, right?
I set all my jackets on there. And then I went out the back door to go grab a piece of wood to put in the fire. And then I went over to the TV and I turned on the TV and put a movie in the PlayStation. I started watching that movie. I sat on the couch, the reclining couch.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's about around 10:15. That's when I showed up. Because I left Jenny Baker's house at 10 o'clock exactly. Because Jordan was there and he told me that his grandma was due to be back at 10 o'clock.
So at 10:15 you started watching the movie and that's when came over?
Yes, he came at exactly 10:15. I was watching the time because I was timing Jordan on how long it takes him to get back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he shows up at 10:15 and at this point you said earlier that he was sober?
Yes.
And what was he wearing at that time? Do you remember?
He was wearing the same clothing.
The black and gray sweater?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Blue jeans?
He had on black basketball shoes.
When you say that, do you mean like high tops, mid tops?
I want to say they were Nikes. I remember I was always glancing at his shoes.
Mm-hmm. What?
He was just sitting there on the couch and I just glanced at his shoes.
Cause you like them or?
I just
Noticed them?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then...
Because I remember I stood up right beside him and I said, "How tall are you?" And I just glanced down to his feet and I just looked at him and he told me he was about 6'1". That's how I noticed his shoes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then, when did he leave you at that time?
When he got there at 10:15, he stayed there for about, I want to say about 20-25 minutes. And then he got up off the couch and he told me he was going to walk down the street to go look for a cigarette. That's when I left. And then about maybe 30 minutes after he left, Jordan showed up from his grandma's.
So about
10:45 or so. You okay?
so about 11:15 is
When you
when
get sick?
Yeah, I feel like I'm on this.
11:15 is when Jordan shows up.
That's when Tyler.
Or excuse me.
No.
Oh wait. Okay, so 11:15 from Jordan. Because you said that or that
Yeah.
left about 10:45. And then 30 minutes later, excuse me, is when Jordan shows up, right? Okay, so that's approximately 11:15.
I told Jordan I stopped by. He was surprised. He asked me what he wanted.
You need to sit up? More?
Oh, fine.
Just breathe through your nose.
Getting worse.
You okay? Breathe through your nose. Through your nose. Deep breath. Just deep breath through your nose.
We got
There you
somebody
go.
coming, okay?
Deep breath. There you go. Again. There you go. Better? Okay. You want bend over or? Okay, so what happened after Jordan showed up? Did you guys get in an argument or anything?
No. He was sober and I was sober. He came in and I just told him I just left not too long ago. And he started asking me questions like, what was he doing? What made him come down here and everything? And I said, I don't know. He was just asking for rolling papers for a cigarette. And then he said, well, did he find me? And I said, I don't think so. He got up and just left. That's what I told Jordan. I told him that he left to go look for one. And he asked me if he said anything. And I said, no, not to me. He just said that Kyle Titus was selling alcohol.
Who told you that? Told you that Kyle Titus?
Yeah. And Jordan looks at me and he says, really? And I said, yeah. And he was like, I kind of figured because Dee Dee was looking for him, Dee Dee Jr. Because before Jordan came down to Galen's, he said he helped his grandmother packing groceries.
Mm-hmm.
And he went over to Dee Dee's, which is right across from her house. And he went there to go smoked marijuana with her.
Mm-hmm.
He said Dee Dee was looking to buy a bottle. And then he asked me if I wanted to go walk around to look for Kyle. And I said, yeah, we can go walk. And he asked me if I wanted to change my clothes because I took a shower up at his grandma's that same day while she was in Fairbanks. And I said, yeah. I said, I'll change my clothes. And we went out. We started walking down the road, down the first road, right by Roy Charlie's house. We went to the lodge, and the door was locked, so he started to feel around on the door frame for a cigarette, because they usually leave cigarettes up there. And he couldn't find one, so we left and we started heading toward my house. We got to my house, and then when we got to my house, I just went to my room, I grabbed my bag, and I started to change my clothes. And then Jordan grabbed some food. He grabbed a can of beans from my house. And he said, I'll take this with me down to Galen's. And I said, yeah, that's fine. I ain't gonna eat it. And then he reached up into the cabinet above my sink and he found some candy. It was candy that my mom left me. It was Starburst. And we started to eat the candy. And he asked me if we could take it with us. And I said, yeah, we can take it. So he puts it in his pocket. And I grabbed a can of beans and I stuck it in my pocket. This was after I changed my clothes, and then that's when he told me to put on the sweaters. It was really windy that day.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty windy. Who was the girl that was looking for a bottle?
Dee Dee Jimmy, his friend.
Dee Dee Jimmy? Okay, so then after you leave your house, where do you go?
We start walking back down toward Galen's house.
And what time is it?
It was about maybe, I want to say 11:30.
And you were going back where?
We were going back down to Galen's.
Did you make it there, or did you go somewhere else?
We walked down the middle road, the road that's on my house.
Mm-hmm.
And we cut off on that same trail that I showed her yesterday. We cut off on that trail and we walked down into Galen's.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
So you guys made it to Galen's then?
Yes, we did.
Hello. Are you mom or auntie?
Cousin.
Cousin? Could you mind? We're just going to talk to her for a little bit and then we'll
Okay.
come get you. Are you going to be in the waiting room?
I'll be back. There's
Oh.
someone else over here.
Okay, thank you. So 11. So you walk about 11 or 11:30. You walk over to Galen's, right?
Yes.
And then what do you guys do?
And then we get there and we We get there and Jordan starts to search the house.
What's he looking for?
I asked him what he was doing and he started looking around for a bottle of alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And he was searching in the back room. He was looking through all the stuff, all the drawers, everything from the back room. He started looking under the mattresses. And he told me, he said, I know Galen should have something somewhere. I told him, I don't know. I don't know if they do or not. And as he was looking through the drawer, he finds a porno movie in one of the drawers
Where was this at?
in Galen's room. There's a dresser in Galen's room. That's where he found it.
Downstairs?
Yes.
Okay.
And then he puts it up on the dresser on top. And he continues to search for alcohol. And then he did that for about maybe another 10, 11 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then he grabs the movie and he says, I wonder if this will work. I grabbed the video and I said, I don't know. It's pretty scratched out. He turns on the TV.
This is in the living room?
No, in the back room. He turns on the TV in the back room. He turns on the DVD player. And he puts the video in there.
Okay.
We both sat down to watch it. We watched it for quite a while. I was on the small bed. I was sitting on the small bed across from the big bed in the bedroom.
Would that be the baby bed?
Yes. And then I watched the video with him, and then I went over. I went over to sit by him on the big bed. And I just laid right beside him on the big bed watching the video. And as I was watching the video, I started to touch myself. And then Jordan looks at me and he says, are you gonna try to make yourself and I said, I want to. And he turns back to look at the TV and he decides to join me. He lays on the bed beside me. Your baby. We laid on the bed together. Baby. We didn't have sex that night. We just masturbated watching porno. And my head was really low because he had all the pillows on his side. He was on my right side, I was on the left. I went out to the couch and I grabbed 2 pillows. I grabbed a purple one and a couch one. And I laid it on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I laid the purple one down first and then I laid the couch one down. And I climbed over him to get on my side of the bed and I continued to my bed.
And you guys didn't have sex?
No.
Have you had sex with him since you've been here, Carly?
It was about 2 days ago.
Where was that at?
From the day we had sex 2 days ago. Before what happened, so it was about maybe on the 30th.
Where were you at?
We were on the bed that I'm talking about.
Did you guys use a condom or anything?
I think she may have.
No, he came.
Okay. Okay, so then you guys started and stuff. Did you guys finish?
Yes, we both did.
Okay, so you both finished, and then what happened?
After he came, he had semen on his stomach, and he got up off the bed, went to the bathroom, and he wiped it off. And I'm pretty sure he threw it in the trash. And then he comes back out. And he doesn't say anything to me. He just goes into the living room. The living room, there was a video playing. There was already a video playing. And I just stayed in the bedroom watching the video.
Watching the porno? And what time was this? Do you remember?
This was like like 1 o'clock.
Okay, what did Jordan have on?
He had on blue jeans. Black shoes. I can't remember what shirt he was wearing at the time.
Mm-hmm. And so he goes back into the living room. He's watching TV. You finish watching TV, and then what happens?
I stayed in the room and I masturbated one more time, and then I got tired and I shut the video off in the bedroom. And
Okay.
I went out to the living room and I sat down with him. I sat down with him and watched the video in the living room.
What was playing in the living room?
We were watching Nip Tuck.
Nip Tuck. Okay.
And then he gets up. He goes into the kitchen. And he says, "Are you hungry?" I said, "Yeah." And he asks me if I want half of the steak that he was gonna cook. And I said, yeah. He stays in the kitchen fixing dinner, and I stayed in the living room watching the video.
So after he was in the kitchen cooking, and you were watching the video, what happened?
Watching the video. And Jordan was cooking. He opens the door to go. He was making juice. And we usually leave the juice outside to get cold. It won't fit in the refrigerator. He was making juice, and as he opened the door, that's when standing outside on the porch. He startled Jordan. He's intoxicated. And Jordan asks him, he was like, what are you doing? Why were you just standing out there? And he comes in and he says to Jordan, I just came from down Roger Alexander's house. He says, I got 2 bottles, you want to drink with me? And that's when Jordan tells him yes. And he talks to Jordan in the living room. I told Jordan that he's down at Roger Alexander's, but they kicked him out from down there. He said that his father, Nick Turen, was down there, and him and his father, Nick, got into a fight.
Nick is his father?
Nick Turen. And then he didn't say much after that. And Jordan kept questioning him, like, how did he get the alcohol? And he just told Jordan not to worry about it. He just said, don't worry about it. I got it, don't I? And Jordan tells him, I know that, but I just don't want Kyle or anybody to come down here looking for you because you stole them. And he tells Jordan, no, I didn't steal them. I bought them. And Jordan tells him, how could you have bought them when I know you ain't got no money? And just walks into the living room where I'm at, sits down on the couch, and he pulls out a bottle. And he asked Jordan, he says, well, do you want to drink with me or not? And Jordan says, hell yeah, I want to drink. I've been wanting to drink all day. And then he hands the bottle to Jordan. Jordan opens it. And he goes into the kitchen with it. And he goes outside to bring the juice back in. He pours some juice into a cup. And then he starts to chase the bottle with the juice. He took maybe about 2 shots. He took another one after the first shot. And then he chased it again with some juice. And he came back into the living room. He places the bottle on a small table that was by the couch.
Mm-hmm.
I had my food on that table and I was still eating. And then he starts talking to Jordan, saying, I hooked you up, didn't I? I hooked you up, right? And he keeps telling Jordan, you owe me. You owe me for this. Jordan looks at him and he says, I got you. I'll hook you back up tomorrow. He says, okay. And he tells Jordan, you better not rip me off now. And Jordan says, I ain't gonna rip you off. You're drinking with me. He says, I know, but you better not try to rip me off. Because I can get really mean. And Jordan tells him again, I'm not gonna rip you off. We're not, you're here with us. Why would we rip you off? And then he tells Tyler, I just don't want anybody to come down here and see you drinking with us because me and Carlene can get in a lot of trouble if they find out that you're here with us drinking because you're underage. And me and Carlene are both over 21. And that's when no, nobody ain't gonna look for me. I don't even go to school down here or anything. Listen, my mom doesn't even know where I'm at. She ain't gonna come looking for me. She's just happy that I'm back in Minto. So that she knows that I'm in Minto. She ain't gonna come looking for me. And then Jordan just says, okay. And he says, well, if anybody comes down here, I'm gonna have to tell them that you're the one that brought the alcohol in. And he tells Jordan, oh, so you're gonna snitch on me? He says, no, I ain't gonna snitch on you, but I'm just saying, anybody comes in here, like for instance, if your mom shows up, I'm just gonna have to tell her the truth. And he keeps telling Jordan that you're just gonna snitch on me, aren't you? You're gonna tell my mom about this. And he just tells him, no, I ain't gonna tell your mom about this. Just listen to me. If your mom comes down here and sees you drinking with us, it's not our fault because you're the one that brought the alcohol into this place. And Tom just keeps telling me, well, I'm hooking you up. Isn't this what you wanted? And he leans up. He leans over to Jordan and he gives Jordan arms. And he says, I got you, don't worry. Jordan says, oh no, I know, I understand. And then he looks to me and he says, give Carlene a shot. I was watching the video, I didn't say anything. And then Jordan looks at me and says, you want a shot? And I thought about it for a while. I thought about it. I looked at and I said, I looked back at Jordan and I said, yeah, I don't think this is such a good idea. I don't think that we should be drinking with him. And Jordan says, I know, but he's the only one that has the alcohol. I said, well, maybe I shouldn't drink with him. And then I think about it for a while. And finally I just gave in and I started to drink. I was chasing it with Pepsi. I found a bottle of Pepsi in the kitchen. It was halfway full. As I grabbed the bottle, I went to go grab the Pepsi, and I sat back down on the couch, and I took 2 shots. I took a shot of the bottle and a shot of the Pepsi, and then tells me double up, and I just took another shot. And I sat the bottle back down on the table. And then I just sit there for a while and we all just started talking. We all just started talking about old times and everything. We started talking about when he was a little kid and everything, and I was talking to her about, I was telling them about the Alaska Military Youth Academy when I was there. And he started laughing at me, telling me about how much he hated that place. And then I told him, well, it's not for everybody.
So you told him that's not for everybody?
Ouch! Yeah, I told him. I said AMYA is not for everybody. And he just kept explaining to me what they did there. How they got in his face and everything. He just started talking about that. And then Jordan was telling Tyler about when he first started to party with him. I believe he said he started partying for right around Christmas time. And then he says, yeah, I remember that. And then we just continued drinking. We all continued drinking. And then I was sitting there watching the movie, and Jordan and left to go find a cigarette because they wanted to get a cigarette.
What time was this?
This was like around, I want to say about 2:30.
Who wanted a cigarette?
Jordan kept telling me to find a cigarette. I said, well, go with me. Maybe we can go over to Clifford's house and get a cigarette. And they went out the back door towards Clifford Alexander's house, just the two of them. And then I stayed behind. I stayed at the house. Left his full bottle underneath the couch by the big window that he was sitting on. And Jordan grabbed the other bottle off of the small table by the other couch that I was sitting at. He grabbed it and he placed it by the windowsill of the small window behind the TV. And then they both went out the back door and headed toward Clifford's. And then I sat there and I was getting pretty drunk.
Were you still drinking?
Yes.
Drinking off of what?
I went to the windowsill,
And grabbed the bottle?
grabbed the bottle.
I don't know what
I don't know if something she.
Oh, if it's she bent her arm and where that IV is, it's
Oh.
just in the right place that it just heats off just long enough for the sensor to say,
Oh, okay.
thank you.
Anyways,
So you went to the windowsill, grabbed the alcohol.
yes. Went to the windowsill and grabbed the bottle of R&R from the windowsill. And grabbed the Pepsi off of the small table by the sofa. And I took 2 more shots. And then I put the bottle back exactly where it was. And I set the Pepsi down on the small table. And I just sat back down I sat there for about maybe 4 minutes. And then there was a knock on the door. I went over to the door,
Which door?
the one by the kitchen. I went over and I looked out the window. I didn't look out completely, I just peeked out. And it was himself. I didn't open the door because Jordan wasn't with him. I walked back into the living room and I stood there in the living room. And then I could hear somebody step up onto the porch.
Front or back?
The same one Tom was on.
Okay.
And they started messing with the handle, the door handle. And I walked back over to the door and I can hear Jordan talking to Tom. So I unlocked the door and I let them both in. And by that time I was really drunk.
Hello. Hey. Hey, how you doing? You want me to bring you some anti-nausea medication?
So they were both outside, you heard Jordan, you let him back inside, and you shot at this point?
Yeah. I went back over and I sat down on the couch. I came back and sat on the couch that he was sitting on. Jordan goes over to grab the bottle that I drank out of.
Mm-hmm.
He grabs the Pepsi bottle that I was drinking out of and he starts using that as a chaser. He was taking double shots like I was. And then we all just started sitting there talking. We were talking. Told Jordan, you better not get weird on me. I'm not like that. And Jordan got upset at him for saying that. He told her, why would I ever want to mess around with you? You're underage, just like I said. I can get in trouble for something like that. And he's like, I'm just letting you know right now. I'm not like that, Jordan, so don't you even think about talking to me like that or anything. And I told her, I said, hey, if you're gonna be like that, you might as well just take your alcohol and get out. And he got upset and he grabbed his bottle and he was like, alright, maybe I will. And then Jordan stopped him. Jordan just told us both to calm down. And I said, well, he shouldn't be talking to you like that. And he said, it's fine. I can handle my own stuff. So I just sat there. I just shut up, basically. Jordan didn't want to leave because he had the alcohol. And then, as I was sitting there, I told Jordan, I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna go outside and use the bathroom.
There you go.
I just remained seated on the couch, and
Just outside?
yeah, and Jordan was standing in
Front door or back door?
the front one by the kitchen. He goes out there and he says he needs to go to the bathroom. We both just remained inside. He left the half a bottle with us inside, and Jordan was drinking.
What time was this?
It's like about maybe almost 3 o'clock.
Are you guys almost done?
We're just letting her talk.
Huh?
We're letting her talk here for a little bit.
Oh, is she
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about 2:45, and Jordan takes another drink and he hands the bottle to me, and I took another couple shots.
Where-
He's outside.
You still out there?
Yeah. We
Okay.
stayed out there for about maybe not even about 5-6 minutes, and then he comes back inside. And then he comes over and he keeps asking Jordan for another cigarette. And Jordan keeps telling him, I ain't got no cigarette. And he just says, well, let's go find one. Jordan tells him, I don't know who to find one from. And then while they were talking, I had my plate of food on that little table, and I started eating my food. And then my steak was one whole steak, and I grabbed a piece of my steak and I tried cutting it, and I cut my hand in the process of trying to cut my steak.
Where was it that you did that? Where was it? On your hand.
It was on my finger.
Which one was it? Okay.
And then I didn't feel it at first, and I ate the steak. I put the steak in my mouth, and I started to notice the blood dripping from my finger onto the floor. And then I got up and I told Jordan, I said, I cut my finger. And he looks at it and he says, well, I'll try to look for a Band-Aid. And he starts looking around in the kitchen. He looked around for maybe about 10-15 minutes. And then I told him I grabbed a piece of paper towel and I wrapped it on my finger like this. And I said, I have some gauze and bandages down the house. And he just says, Galen and them don't have shit around here. I told him, I said, it's fine. I'll run down to the house and I'll go get something to wrap my finger up with, because I knew we had gauze bandages down there and some tape. So I went out. I opened the door and I went out.
And this is what time?
This is about 3:15. I walked down. I passed Roy Charlie's house and I kept going straight to
Whose
the
house?
lodge.
Roy Charlie. That's your uncle, right? Or somebody? Yeah.
And we talked to him.
Yeah.
I went to the lodge and the door was locked. And I turned around and I went back to my house. And that's when I noticed that the door was open. The rope was broken. And I seen the board that we used to lock it with crossways across the wall. I grabbed the board and I leaned it up against the wall and I walk inside. I walk into this room trying to see if there was anybody in my house. And I yelled out, "Who's in here?" And there was nobody in there.
That was that little rope that you showed me too. That was it was broken or cut or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a bookshelf right by our couch. On top of that bookshelf, I grabbed a piece of gauze and I grabbed some tape and I taped my finger up. I went outside and I grabbed a couple of pieces of wood to put in the stove. And then I went into my bedroom and I charged up my phone. And as I was sitting there, I was just listening to music. And then I was at my house for maybe like an hour. And then I walked out. I walked up the middle street. And then as I got to where the trail was, I started walking on the trail and I got in the middle of the trail and I started hearing like some people were fighting. I stood to see where it was coming from. And as I was standing there, I was trying to catch my balance and focus. And the next thing I know, the door opens. He comes running out of the house. And he runs toward the boat. as he's behind the boat, he picks something up. I see his hand go down the bottom of the boat, and he just keeps walking. He just keeps walking down toward Roy Charlie's house. And then I started walking to the house. Started to walk to the house, and I could see he was in front of Roy Charlie's house. He was walking down that way. I didn't
Okay, he started walking where?
down toward the lodge on the back street.
So, when you heard somebody fighting, you heard some people fighting, you stop and you start to listen,
Yes,
and then you notice the door open up to where?
the front side, you know, the door in the kitchen.
You're talking about Galen's house, where
Yeah.
the two where and
Yes,
Jordan were.
yes,
Okay, so you see the front door open that leads into the kitchen,
yes.
and what do you see then?
We're running out. He ran out and he stopped behind the boat,
Which boat? The boat that's closer to the road or closer to the flats?
closer to the road.
Okay. I'm just trying to make clear because there's a couple boats on the property.
He bends down, and it looks like he picks something up or something, and then he keeps walking. He has his hands in his pocket as he was walking. And he starts heading down toward the lodge. I didn't think nothing of it. And then I started to walk into the house. As I got into the house, I looked onto the floor, and there's
I'm sorry, I know it's tough to talk about. I'm sorry, I know it's tough. I know it's definitely tough to talk about. You know, but we want to get to the bottom of this. Like we can get him some justice. You know, get to find out what happened. Do you know what I mean? You okay? Just breathe. You'll be okay.
there's blood on the floor. And as I looked over into the living room, have his pants on. I grabbed him and I grabbed his shirt. I lifted it up and ow!
Why'd you lift it up?
I wanted to see what happened.
What did you see when you seen Jordan?
I seen that he had knife in his stomach.
You seen that he had a knife in his stomach? Did you see a knife anywhere?
No, I just grabbed him. I grabbed him and I held his head. I looked, I told him, oh God. I told him, I was yelling at him. I was yelling at him, telling him to stay with me. I told him, no, you fucking die on me. No, you fucking die on me. And he was moaning, trying to talk. I ran into the kitchen and I grabbed an oven mitt. I ran back over to him and I pressed it on his wound. And I grabbed the back of his head with my right hand.
Okay. When you seen him, did you see any blood like spurting or anything like that, or was it?
No, his shirt was covered in blood. I just put pressure on it. I put pressure on his stomach.
Okay.
And I told him, no, you can die on me. Just hold on, just hold on. And he was still moaning. He couldn't move. He was just making moaning sounds, like slowly. I ran out. That's when I ran up toward Ravi's house.
Who's Ravi?
His name is. Remember when we went by that house to look for my sweater? That's his house.
Okay, so going up that trail.
Yeah.
You don't know his real name?
Right by the water plant.
Yeah. I forgot his real name, but they call him Ravi.
Okay.
I ran up that way and I was screaming for help. And I ran up that way and I took my sweater off. And I ran back down to the house to check on Jordan one more time.
What'd you run up to the house for? The other house, to Ravi's house.
I was gonna go on that trail to run to his mom's, and then I found out that it would take too long.
So you went back to see Jordan?
I ran back to the house to make sure he was still alive. I ran back to the house to make sure he was still alive. I kept slapping him. I kept slapping him, trying to tell him to stay away. I
I was still under the influence, but I knew what was going on. And then I ran back out and I ran to my Uncle Roy Charlie's house. I ran as fast as I could. And then I ran inside.
That's right. So you ran to your Uncle Roy Charlie's house and then what?
I ran to his house and my cousin Christopher Charlie was sleeping on the couch. He was intoxicated, passed out. I looked for the phone. The phone wasn't on the hook and it was on the floor, in the middle of the floor. I had Jordan's blood all over me. I had Jordan's blood on my hand. I grabbed the phone and I called his mom. I called, and then the first time it rang, they hung up the phone on me. I immediately called back and she finally answered. She was still asleep. Oh God. I told her, I said, Lori, you need to get down to Galen's right now. She told me what's going on, and I said, I need your help. I need your help. Please, just hurry up. And she told me, Carlene, calm down and tell me what's going on. And that's when I told her, I said, I found Jordan. He's been hurt. I said, I told her he's been stabbed. And she told me on the phone, she said, by who? You? And I told her, no, I just got down there and I found him. She said, just wait down there, I'll be right down. And then I hung up the phone. I ran back over there. And I just continued to put pressure on his wound. I leaned over. I had my hand on his wound and I grabbed him. I grabbed him behind the head. Oh God. And then I told him, I said, just stay awake. And I kept opening his eyes.
Was he awake?
He was still moaning a little bit. And it didn't take Lauren very long to get down there. I heard a car door shut.
So she got there pretty quick?
Yes.
Okay.
And then she came in and she just started to yell at him.
Yell what?
She started to yell at him, oh my God, oh my God. And Jordan, and she came over and she grabbed him. I was standing there screaming. It's like, Lori, please help him. I just told her, please help him, and she just told me to stand back. And then Curtis was standing by the table.
Where's the boyfriend?
Oh, God. Standing by the table, and Lori was trying to wake Jordan up. And I was standing behind her. Oh, and then Agnes came down. The health aide. She came down, she brought the gurney in. And they were both trying to wake him up. And Lori kept telling me to sit down. Just sit down. And I told her, I said, Lori, please help him. She kept yelling at me, telling me to sit down, that they were trying to help him. I sat down and I had my hand over it like this, and I was kneeling on my knees. And then I got up, and she kept yelling at me, telling me to calm down. And then Agnes was trying to check for his pulse. She had a stethoscope. She was checking. She had it on his chest. And then she covered him up with a blanket. And then Lori came over to me and she grabbed me. She grabbed me and told me to get out into the truck, and I was screaming. I said, what's going on? Tell me, please, what's going on? She said, Carly, just get out in the truck. She wouldn't tell me. She told me, where's your sweater at? And I told her, I said, I dropped it. And she grabbed the sweater off of the couch. And she asked me if that one was mine, and it was that blue and black sweater. I put the sweater on, and I went out and got into her truck. And then we left. We left the house and we headed down to his brother's house. And I just stayed in the truck throughout the whole time we were riding around.
Okay.
And is that when you went to Rudy's?
I was at Lauren's for a couple of hours. I sat in the truck at her house for a while.
So when you seen Jordan, what was Jordan wearing? Or excuse me, when you seen he wearing?
He was wearing his same clothes, his sweater and black jeans and black.
Was it black jeans or blue jeans?
Or dark blue or something?
They were dark blue.
Dark blue jeans?
Yeah.
Can you remember what kind of shirt?
I couldn't see his shirt.
What about earlier that evening?
I never saw him after that day.
And that evening, what was he wearing? Was he wearing a hoodie, a
The
jacket?
whole time I seen him, he was just wearing his sweater and a hoodie.
Does the sweater say anything on it? Like, was there any markings on it? You know, like.
He had a white Armani, a white American Eagle t-shirt.
Underneath the sweater?
Yeah,
How do you know that?
I remember because I told him, I said, hey, I got the exact same kind of shirt.
And he had that under the blue and black sweater he was wearing?
Yes.
Blue and black or gray and black?
Or was it blue and black or gray? I'm sorry.
It's gray.
Gray and black?
Yes.
Positive?
Yes.
Blue and black is the one that you wore out. Okay.
Yeah,
Because I remember seeing
got
that.
that mixed up.
Okay.
Did he say anything to you when he was leaving?
No. He didn't see me. He didn't see me as I was coming back.
Mm-hmm.
He just ran out. He didn't bother to look around or anything. He just ran straight. He was behind the boat and he just kept running, and then that's when he got out of my view.
Okay. And then, so why do you think Jordan didn't have pants on?
I think that from the way that I know Jordan, I think that they were fooling around or something. It's just what my first thought was.
Carlene, do you know if when Jordan does fool around with men, does he usually wear a condom? Or do you know any of that? I know it's pretty private business, but
He usually wears a condom with them, I believe, but sometimes he doesn't.
okay.
Did you see any condoms or any condom wrappers while you were in the house? Just breathe. Do your nose. It'll help you not throw up. Do your nose. Deep. Deep.
No, I didn't see anything.
Okay.
Did Jordan ask you to leave when you were drinking?
Jordan asked me once to leave.
When?
He got mad at me and told me, why don't you just check on your fire?
When was this?
This was after we were looking for a Band-Aid.
So when you cut your finger and you went home?
So why did he get mad?
Because he was mad at the fact that I was there, I suppose. I don't know. He just got upset with me.
So after you cut your finger, you're looking for a Band-Aid. He looked for a Band-Aid for about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Was it before or after that he got mad?
After. was helping me look for the Band-Aid, and I told him, I said, maybe I got one down at my house, and he said, well, why don't you just go down there and check your fire, and maybe you'll find a Band-Aid down there.
So it wasn't like he told you had to leave. It was just more like he was just recommending that you go.
He was just telling me to.
Okay.
He was trying to hint me to leave so that him and I can be alone.
That's what you feel? Okay.
He's done it before with me.
Okay. So you kind of know when he wants to be alone with somebody.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if he had any type of relationship?
I had no idea.
Or if there was even a relationship between them?
I had no idea.
Okay. But you know that you know of his sexual preference.
Yes.
And we've kind of heard it from people, but we don't know if it's truthful, and I know that you know him.
Yes, I knew about him and other men.
Okay, so is he bisexual?
Yes.
Okay.
From what he told me is that I'm the only female he has sex with.
Okay.
But I know that he's had a few other male partners. He's also on a dating website.
Okay. The sweater that you said that you took off, when you were running around, can you describe that to me?
It had gray. It was all gray with white stripes.
Okay. So if I show you a photo, would you be able to tell me if
Yes.
Okay.
That's yours?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
That was what I was wearing when I first found him.
Let's see. Okay.
So tell me about, what were you thinking when you stabbed yourself? Why'd you do that?
I went down to my house to go get some clothes with.
Investigator Hanson?
Yes.
Okay.
As I was grabbing my clothes, I grabbed my cell phone.
Okay.
I took my clothes off for Hanson, and I gave her the bag. I took a shower, changed my clothes. Okay. After I took a shower, I grabbed my phone I started to watch videos of me and Jordan together. I watched a video of him cutting wood outside of Galen's that I recorded. I just watched them over and over again. I laid down on the couch and my mom saw me crying. She came. She came and she held me and I just broke down.
This is why you're at Rudy's?
Yes. I just broke down from watching those videos. Rudy and Francine were sitting at the dining table. My mom was sitting by me on the couch, comforting me. I just kept watching those videos over and over, and I couldn't take it anymore, and I wanted to be with him. I wanted to find him. I ran into the kitchen and I stabbed myself because I wanted to be with Jordan. I just can't live without him.
You can.
I just can't live without him. I love him so much.
You have a lot. You have a lot to live for. You got two kids, right?
Yes.
So you have to live for them, right? You had 2 kids with Jordan, right? Don't you think that's a good reason to live? You got your family, your mom, your grandma, your uncles, your cousins.
I want him back. I just want him back. I just want him to come back and hold me. Last time I held him, he covered in blood. That's gonna be on my mind for the rest of my life.
Just remember the good times.
That's why I stabbed myself.
I'm telling you, you have a lot to live for, okay? You have beautiful children, you got a loving family, you got a lot of people that care about you, care about your well-being. I care about you. Okay? We don't even hardly know each other, but I care about you. I don't want to see you hurting yourself.
I kept telling them that state troopers would just let me go.
Well, we don't do that. Our job is to help
I
you.
was telling them that they had an oxygen mask over me and they kept trying to make me stay awake.
Because that's our job. That's what we have to do.
We were with you,
I
Carlene.
wanted to let me go. I wanted to just let me go. Here I am, I'm still here. And he's not. Oh, God. Oh, God.
3 days later, detectives interrogate Carlene, hoping to clarify specific details about her story.
So today is Monday, May 6th. I'm here with Carlene Charlie at Fairbanks Memorial Hospital. This is Investigator Hansen. The time is now 12:42, and I'm in room 319 with Carlene. Carlene, I was kind of going over a couple of things, and I was going to see if you can help me with describing the shoes that you told Investigator Ching and I remember wearing. Can you describe those in detail for me?
I remember that they were black. I want to say they were black Nike basketball shoes.
Okay. Were they high top, low top, or do you not
They
know?
were high top. They go up at an angle toward the beak of the front of the. They rise up from the back, and I believe they have a comfort in the ankle, in the back of the ankle.
Okay. What do you mean by comfort?
Like they have that. Oh, can I see the paper?
Yeah.
It's the side of the shoe. It's the front is the shoe right here.
Okay.
It goes like this.
Okay. So it slopes down.
This part goes like that in the back. You know what I'm saying?
So it has kind of like a little.
Yeah, like a little comfort.
Okay.
But it rises up onto the side, and here's the shoelaces.
Okay.
And it's a basketball shoe.
Okay. Now, how did you know that it was Nike? The Nike.
When I glanced at his shoe, it just looked to me like Nike shoes.
And how do you know that? I mean, what did you see that made it look like it was Nike?
It had a logo on the side.
Okay.
On the side of the shoe, or around this part of the area.
And when you mean by logo, what do you mean by the logo?
Nike logo.
Okay. So
I don't know what it looks like. Something like that.
Okay. Do you remember what color that logo was?
No, I don't.
Do you remember if it was the same color as the shoe, or if it was lighter?
I remember that the shoe was black.
Okay.
That's all I remember.
Do you remember seeing any white on it at all?
I don't know. The whole shoe was black. I know that.
Okay. So you don't I remember you telling me that you would look down and you noticed that his shoes were black,
yeah.
But you don't remember seeing any white on it at all.
No.
Do you ever remember seeing the sole part of the shoe?
No.
What color it was?
No.
Okay. But you remember
when
the
he
comfort.
was walking around the house, that's when I would just glance at his shoes, and I remember I got up and I stood by him and I asked him how tall he was, and he told me. That's when I glanced down at his shoe and sort of looked up and faced him.
Okay.
I wanted to measure my height with his.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'2".
Okay, so he's pretty tall compared to you. Okay. Do you remember? Were you up against? Do you remember about how tall compared to you?
My top of my head was around his neck, shoulder part.
Okay. So, do you remember if that swoosh was either white or black or any other color?
Or what?
The little Nike swoosh or whatever they call it.
I'm not sure. I believe it was black, since the whole shoe to me seems black.
Okay. Okay. How about You said he was wearing an American Eagle shirt like yours. Can you describe that to me?
It was kind of like a white polo t-shirt.
Did it have a collar?
Yes.
And you said you have one like it, so how did you know it was American Eagle?
Because mine had the same logo.
And what's that?
A&E.
A&E. Was it like the blue shirt that I saw you in?
Mine was Armani Exchange.
Uh-huh.
His was American Eagle because he's had an eagle by his logo.
Okay. And how about his jeans again? Were they blue, black, or another color, or kind of dark?
I believe they were blue jeans.
Light blue, dark blue, or kind of blackish?
Kind of darkish blue.
Do you remember ever seeing his socks?
No, his pants were over the shoes to where I couldn't see his socks.
Okay, and I remember you describing his jacket, and I remember you giving me the colors of gray and black. Can you describe that just a little bit better for me? Was there gray on top or black on top? Or
I believe that there was I want to say the whole thing was gray.
the whole thing was gray? Okay.
I know for sure that it was a hoodie. It was a hoodie.
It was a hoodie?
Yes.
Okay. I remember you telling me that when you were on the trail and you heard some fighting, can you recall any of the words that you heard?
Didn't really hear any words. I just heard scruffling, like people just like running around in the house.
Okay.
And it was very kind of a weak, like I was too far but close enough to hear just a few sounds, like of sounds of people running around inside the house.
Okay. So too far away, but you knew something was going on.
Yeah, and then I stood there for a while listening. And then for me, I kind of figured, I don't want to go back in there because Jordan specifically tells me or gives me a hint when he wants to be alone with man. And I just thought, okay, well, maybe they're doing something, And then I just waited for a second, and then about maybe 5 minutes after that, running out of the house, and the door is left slightly open, and he doesn't see me, and he runs straight for the boat in the front of the house. He runs straight for that boat. He stops and picks something up, and he keeps running out toward the road and runs down toward Roy Charlie's house. I start to walk, and I look up the street, and he's about in front of Joyce Charlie's house. And then I just continue to walk into the house.
Okay. When you leaving, do you remember him wearing anything? I mean, was he in the same clothing or?
He had his hood up over his head.
Okay. And that was the black jacket?
It was a sweater. It was a sweater. I remember it was a sweater because he had
Okay.
his hoodie up over his head, and I couldn't see his face.
But you knew it was him?
Yeah, 'cause he was the one that was partying with us that night.
Did it look like him at all? I mean, how do you know for sure it was?
Yes, him.
Let's go into that a little bit more. So how do you know for sure it was? If you didn't see his face, is there anything that you can definitely know for fact?
The way he walks.
Okay.
When I seen him walking up the street, he started running, and then after he got to the road, he started to walk.
Okay, what about his walk? Can you tell me about that you noticed that why it was?
He has this gangster sort of kind of walk when he walks up the street.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe it, but it's just, that's the closest I can come to describing his walk.
Okay. So you know, I mean, his height. I mean, did you see him at first with the hoodie on?
I asked him what his height was, and he told me 6'1".
Okay.
Because I was asking him how tall he was.
Mm-hmm.
This was when we were all drinking, and I pulled him over close to me, and he stood by me, and I said, look how tall this guy is to me. And Jordan looks at us, and he says, wow, you're pretty small.
When he ran out of the house, did he have his hood on initially?
He just, yeah, when he ran out, he pulled it up over his face right when he ran out.
Okay, but did you see his face then at that time before he pulled the hoodie up?
No.
No.
There was not a lot of people that stopped by that night. There was, before we started drinking, there was Douglas Jimmy that stopped by. And he came by with Peter John. They both stopped by together. And me and Jordan, we were still sober at the time.
But how long did they stay?
Not that long. Douglas was just trying to see if we knew anybody who was selling alcohol. We did.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he found out we didn't have anything, he just wanted to leave. And Peter John didn't want to leave because Peter was intoxicated. And he was afraid that Douglas was going to beat him up. So we just told him, yeah, you can sit with us for a couple of minutes. And he didn't sit down anywhere. He just sort of walked around the house a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Jordan decided to go look for a cigarette over at Clifford's. I don't know if Clifford was home at the time. But
Okay.
And then they came back through the back door. They just went over there for maybe a few minutes and then came back through the back door.
So was Douglas Jimmy or Peter John there when he came over?
No.
Okay. So how long did they stay the whole time?
Me and Jordan, we walked Peter. I went back. We walked Peter out to the road because he was drunk, and Jordan said that he didn't want to be around Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I know, I don't really like to be around. He told me, he said, I don't mind being around drunks when I'm drunk, but when I'm sober, it's just kind of doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Peter walks down the other road, and we just keep walking, and we walked into Galen's through the front door.
Okay. And that was earlier in the day. Do you remember what time that was?
That was before we started drinking. That was like maybe around, it was probably around 10:30.
Okay. And what time do you remember starting to drink?
Oh, it was way after. We watched a movie for a couple of hours and then came over at around 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so it was after you came over that you started drinking?
Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody else came over, it was just, or if anybody saw anybody else come over there, it was Douglas, Jimmy, or Peter John?
Yeah.
Nobody else?
Nobody else.
Okay.
Came over while he was sober at like 10:15.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he was sober because he hardly talks when he's sober, and he just sat there. He had nothing on him at the time.
Mm-hmm. No alcohol, you mean?
No.
Or something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he went somewhere, and at that time frame between 10:15 and 2 o'clock in the morning, he was able to find 2 bottles of R&R.
Okay. Okay. So, when you're saying that you saw him running out of the house and he puts his hoodie up right away, he stops by the boat. If I were to show you a photo of that boat, would you be able to mark, and I've got a green highlight, an orange one, a blue one, a yellow one, and a pink one. If I show you a photo of the boat, would you be able to tell me what area that you remember him? You said he looked like he was picking something up.
Yeah.
He stopped and he looked like he was picking something up. How about with the orange one? Would you be able to show me on this photo here? I'm gonna label it photo 1. Okay.
Okay.
Would you be able to, Carlene, with this orange highlight, mark for me where you remember seeing stop and either pick something up or do something behind that boat? Okay. You recognize how that boat's showing right there? I know it's maybe from a
Standing in this angle over here.
on that trail.
This angle.
Okay. Do you remember seeing him in front of the boat or
He was behind it.
behind it, meaning on the riverside?
This side, yes.
Okay.
Do I just mark it?
Yeah, and okay, the part that we're looking at, I believe, is the back of the boat because I see a motor there.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So was he towards the back of that boat or the front of that boat, or in between it somewhere?
In between it, so.
So in the middle of the boat.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you can just mark with the orange marker where you saw him. That's the boat's kind of, yeah, the boat goes. So wherever you, I know it's
Good
a,
angle.
no, it's not. It's kind of, here's the ground right there, and then that goes off to the river, and then there's something over there, but I can't see what it is from here. So what I see you marking is kind of like towards the front middle part of the river side of the boat. Okay, so somewhere around there.
He runs up toward where you're standing.
You can mark on there wherever you see him running.
He ran up this way.
Okay.
This way, and then once he got to the road, he started to walk a little bit.
Okay.
And then I just stood there for a while.
This photo, I'm going to label photo 2. I'm thinking is that, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, okay? Because if it's not the right photo, I mean the right area, you let me know, okay? This is, I'm going to label it photo 2 in blue. Does this look like the trail that you were on? That's that one cabin across the street. Do you remember where you were at? Can you see where you were at from there?
I was standing right by the tree right here.
Okay, here, you want to mark it with a blue? We're going to just change colors, okay? So you were standing right there. You want to just put an X there with a circle around it, and then that way I know that that's where you were standing. So from what I can remember, Carlene, that's a pretty close distance. I mean, you can pretty much see the house in full view from there.
Yeah.
Anything else with that photo that you remember that you think I might need to know?
I ran back up this way.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I found him, I grabbed something to stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I'm going to get help. I'll be right back. And I ran up this way.
Okay.
And I was covered in his blood. And then I up here.
Yeah, I have
I fell down going up the hill, and I stepped on my glasses because they fell off my face. And then,
So at this point right here, when you were by the tree, you still had your glasses on. You were able...
yeah, this was before.
Okay, so you didn't lose your glasses until after. Okay.
After, and then I decided that Lori's house was too far up, so I came back down, and I just thought to myself, I can call from Roy's house.
Okay.
So before I decided to go back to Roy's house, which is down the street, down this way, I ran back in to make sure he was still breathing.
Okay.
And he was his face was turning white, and I kept trying to keep pressure on his wound. And I held the back of his head, and I said, it's okay. I'm going to get your mom. I'm going to get your mom. And I kept telling him not to let go, not to die on me. And then I just ran out of the house, and that's when I ran out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
I ran back up this way, and I ran onto the street, and then I ran over to Roy Charlie's house, which is down this street.
Okay.
And I used the phone to call his mom.
Okay. So that right there where you put that X, that shows me exactly where you were standing when you saw
Yes.
what you know as Tyler coming running out of the house. Is that where you were standing when you heard the noise going on, or were you standing somewhere else?
I was walking slowly down,
Okay.
and then I stopped right about there.
Okay, so somewhere on this trail you started hearing something going on.
I started to walk, and as I was walking, I got closer, and then the sound of people scuffling
Mm-hmm.
just started to come in. That's why I stopped right here.
Okay.
Because I can hear, I didn't want my footsteps to interfere with what I was hearing.
Okay. So the crunching of the snow and all that, right?
So I stopped, and then I heard scuffling in the house. And then I stood there for about maybe 5 minutes at the most.
And was that scuffling going on that whole time?
No, it stopped.
Okay.
And then that's when I heard the door open, and Tyler comes running out, and that's when he ran. He ran jumped off of the porch,
Mm-hmm.
ran over toward the boat,
Mm-hmm.
and then he ran out this way.
Did you see him do anything else by the boat? Do you remember seeing anything?
No, I don't. No.
Okay. When he got on the porch, do you remember him stopping for any brief moment or anything, or do you just remember him coming that fast out of the house?
I don't know how long the door was open for.
Okay.
All I remember I glanced down
Mm-hmm.
and I just thought to myself, maybe I should just go back home. And then that's when I seen him run.
Okay.
I don't remember. I don't know if he stopped or did whatever. I don't remember anything.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay, Carlene. I appreciate you helping me with these little marks here, okay? All right. When you were in the house before you left, I know that we were talking about, when Jordan is involved with the man, you know that he generally, or most from what you know, from what he might told you, that he wears a condom, correct?
Yeah, usually he tells me he does, but we don't talk about that very often. I don't bother him in his business, and he doesn't bother me about mine.
Okay. Before you left, do you remember seeing any condoms, either wrapped or unwrapped, in the living room area, or kitchen, bedroom, or anywhere do you remember anywhere in the house that was, you could pretty much see it?
No, I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Okay. All right. Can you describe the knife that you used to cut your steak with?
It was the exact same kind I used to inflict the wound on myself.
And I didn't see what that was, so it was pretty much the same style? Sure. Let me grab a piece of...
Just a small steak.
Do you remember what color the handle was?
Black handle.
Okay. So, well, how about right here if you want to...
Black handle, and the blade goes up like this, and it has ridges like that.
Okay.
And the knife goes down like that, gets...
Okay, so where does the blade part start? Okay. All right, so that's the blade, that front part without those ridges.
Ridges like that.
Okay.
And this part goes down.
Okay.
Like that, and it's a black handle.
All right. When leaving, where do you think he went to?
I don't know.
Do you know much about him, who he hangs out with, or?
I don't hang out with him that very often. He was missing from military school, and I was helping out with trying to find him in Anchorage.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, me and him don't talk that much.
Okay. Just a couple more things, Carlene, and then I can leave you alone, okay? I'm kind of, what I'd like to do is, I've got like some, those Google shots of Minto. And with one, I'd like, if you can, remember what route, when you went to your house, do you remember what time you left to go to your house to get a Band-Aid?
It was probably like 10:45, 10:50.
In the, so when you went to your house again, I'm confused then. When you went to your house to get the Band-Aid, was that after you ate?
No,
or?
it was
Yeah, it was after I ate.
Okay.
I was intoxicated. then,
Okay.
So it probably, because we were all pretty drunk,
Mm-hmm.
and then I cut my hand with the steak knife, and it didn't bother me that much.
Mm-hmm.
I went to my house probably like almost around 3 o'clock.
3 or so. Okay. These aren't very good pictures of Minto, but I'm gonna label this one photo 3 with my pen, okay? And do you recognize this a little bit? I mean, I had to. It looks like that might be what you guys call the well. And how about the pink? Since we haven't used the pink yet, how about with the pink? When you left to go get the Band-Aid, what route did you go? Do you remember going home?
Is this the house?
I think that looks like it to me.
I went down. I walked out to the street.
Okay.
I went down this way.
All right. So you're talking like by the street that the lodge is on? Yeah. That's how I
went into the lodge.
Okay.
And it was locked.
Okay.
And then I walked up onto the small road up to my house, up that way.
Okay.
My house
I wonder if...
in this area.
Okay, let me see if maybe one of these other photos shows your house, okay? So, did you take a trail at all when you went to your house that you remember?
I just walked on the road.
Okay. All right. All right. This is kind of almost the same photo. Do you remember what route that you took when you went back? Let me just change this one. This one is when you left to go get a Band-Aid. Okay. And you're saying it was sometime after 3, right? 3 or so? Maybe even later?
It was probably right around 3.
Okay. Well, what time did you get there?
2.
2. Okay, so around approximately 3. And then I remember you telling me, correct me if I'm wrong, you were maybe gone an hour and a half?
Yes.
Okay. Now how about, let's see, this green one. Do you remember which way you came back from your house? Okay, let me get this ready for you. And we'll mark this one green. And this is when you were returning to Galen's house, okay? To see Jordan. We'll do that one in green. Just so I can keep it all tracked, okay? You remember which way you went back? And it looks like that one might be Galen's house, and that's the water tank. That's the only way how I can kind of remember things there in Minto.
The lodge right here.
The lodge is on that road. And then the trail, it looks, here's the water tank. So from there, does that map confuse you, or can you figure it out? I know that this is the water tank. I think this is what you call Middle Street. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I believe this is my house.
Okay.
So, and
that's Middle Street, and then that's Front Street.
I came out of my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked down this road.
So Middle Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
I stood. I walked
on this trail.
Is that Rabbi's house right there?
I believe so.
Okay, because he's like right next to the well house.
This is Rabbi's house right
Okay.
here.
Oh, that one? This one? Okay.
There's the trail right here.
Okay.
I stopped right there,
Okay.
and I stayed there for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then I heard the noise, and then 5 minutes went by, and I heard the door open.
Okay. So you remember walking down Middle
I was
Street?
trying to catch my focus that time because I was intoxicated. I was trying to get myself gathered together. And then I heard the door open, and I looked up, and that's when I seen Todd come out of the house.
Okay. So you remember walking from your house down Middle Street,
Yeah.
past Rabbi's house where the trail begins, and then heading down the trail. Is that right?
Yeah, and I stopped right
Okay.
there.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know these pictures probably help. I know they help me seeing where you were. And so down Middle Street. Okay. Do you remember what time that might have been?
When I returned back,
Yeah.
I don't remember when I left. All I know is I was gone for about a good hour. I was gone from Galen's house for a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
So you're not for sure on exactly the time, but you know that you were.
I don't know what time it was when I called Lori. I was in complete shock after that.
That's understandable. Okay. Why would you think it was?
He was the last one I left Jordan with.
Okay.
He was the one that brought the alcohol into Galen's house. Me and Jordan, we were fine. We've been sober together for, about the whole time we were watching Galen's house. And then suddenly somebody just decides to bring alcohol to us. I mean, why us? Why bring 2 full bottles of alcohol to us?
Mm-hmm. How long were you guys taking care of Galen's house?
Ever since Galen and his girlfriend got in a fight, we were there when Galen and his girlfriend were fighting.
Okay. So since
And
that day, you watched.
They got hauled off to jail for fighting with each other, and we just decided to stay Galen's house.
Okay. And since that whole time, since they were arrested, so about a week or so? Is that right?
Yeah.
So for 1 week, you and Jordan decided not to have anything to drink?
No, we didn't have anything.
Okay.
And Jordan wanted to drink so badly. That's why he was searching the house for alcohol, because he thought Galen and them might have left something behind, but there was nothing.
Okay. So you have no idea where he might be after this, after leaving there? Didn't
No,
talk about.
I didn't bother to think anything after that. I wanted Jordan to be okay.
Okay. I'm sorry I have to keep bringing this up to you. And I know that you're trying to help us.
I
hurt myself because I want to be with him. Just right now, I just want to see him. People keep asking me if I'm happy that I'm alive. To be honest, I'm really not. How could I ever come back from that? How could I ever come back?
Going off record at 1:20 with Carlene.
They have arguments, he got put in jail for fighting with me a few times, and every couple has their ups and downs. But later on, we'd just laugh about it. We'd laugh about it, and we'd forgive each other. I always forgave him, If I didn't, I wouldn't have been with him. But it was just so hard. It was so hard to not be with him. That's how much I truly loved him. I never did tell his mom how much I cared for him and how much I loved him, because she didn't really want us to be together. I have no idea why, but I asked him to marry me when I was 18 years old. He just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
He told me he wasn't ready. I just gave him some time, and I thought about asking him again when we were both in our 30s or something like that. Before this all happened, like maybe 4 or 5 days before all this, he wanted to go to AvTech. He kept talking to me about going to AvTech, and I told him, I said that would be good, because they do hands-on training. And we were just talking about it. I didn't know much about AvTech, but I was talking to him about it, and he asked me if I wanted to move to Seward, and I told him, I said, "What's in Seward?" And he said, "Oh, I want to go to AvTech. You remember me telling you about that?" I said, "Oh, yeah." And then he told me that school, AvTech, is in Seward. He asked me if I wanted to move there. And I told him, I said, "We'll have to save up some money if you want to move there." All the things I remembered before that day, that's what was keeping me up. We hauled trash with his mom's van. We rode out the road and rode back, and we cut up some wood for Galen's house, and it's really hard. It's really hard. He was a very good person. I don't understand why this could have happened.
Did he ever confide in you anything between him and at all?
I don't, he never talks to me about anything.
Not anything with men, you said?
No, he has told me about some men, but, I just told him, I said, it's none of my business what you do. I don't judge you for who you are. You don't have to tell me these things.
I said, I love you for who you are. I don't need to know what you do with yourself or anything. I just told him I'll love you no matter what. Did I know he was messing around with guys? Of course I did. But I still accepted him. I didn't judge him or anything. Sometimes I just wish this was all just a bad nightmare. Every time I wake up, I'm here and it's reality.
Yeah.
So hard.
Carlene, I just want to make sure that everything we talked about today, just really quick, kind of summing it up. You're describing shoes as Nike brand, basketball style,
Yes.
like a comfort, high top. You remember all black.
Yes.
You don't remember any white swoosh or black swoosh or anything else, but you just know that they were Nike style.
Yes.
Okay. You remember him wearing an all black hoodie. You remember American Eagle white polo with a collar, and you remember seeing the American Eagle emblem on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Or actually, the hoodie was all gray, right?
Yeah, it wasn't black. It was grayish.
Grayish. Okay. And you don't remember seeing any condom wrapper or condom or anything like that prior to leaving in plain sight. You described the knife that you used to cut your steak as a black-handled knife. How long do you think it was? Just
5 inches.
about 5 inches. Okay. And you said that when he was leaving, he was probably going towards Roy Charlie's house. And then you also saw him pass Joyce Charlie's house.
He was in front of Joyce Charlie's house. I don't know where he went after that because that's
Okay.
when
Okay.
I walked into the house.
Okay. And you don't know anybody that he hangs around or that he would go to?
No.
Okay. You know, you didn't see his face, but you did see that it was just by the way he walks.
Yes.
You're describing it kind of a gangster type of.
Yeah, he always has his hands in his pockets and he walks kind of. Yeah.
Okay. And then by the boat, you kind of remember him on the riverside, towards the middle of the boat.
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you that you think?
Oh, I don't think we left anything out.
Okay.
I think it's about time for me to take my medicine.
Okay.
Ouch. So what's gonna happen?
Well, I'm gonna go off record again. It's 1:35.
A few weeks later, Carlene is released from hospital and moves in with her cousin in Anchorage. In July, investigators get a surprising call from Carlene's cousin. She tells police Carlene confessed to having killed Jordan. Investigators persuade Carlene's cousin to wear a wire to get Carlene's confession on tape. While detectives listen in, Carlene tells her cousin that Jordan made her leave because he wanted to hang out with Tyler. Enraged, Carlene had grabbed a knife and waited outside the home until Tyler left. Then she went inside, argued with Jordan, and stabbed him to death. Armed with the wiretap evidence, investigators interrogate Carlene one more time.
10:22 on the 16th at AST with Carlene Charlie. First of all, Carlene, how you been?
Good.
Struggling a little bit? Because, hold on one second, I gotta grab something. Stand by. Investigator Hanson wanted to be here to talk to you and stuff, but she had some things going on and whatnot. It's difficult finding where you were. Is that lady, she's a relative of yours?
She's my cousin.
Mm. She was pretty distraught, didn't really know what was going on. Just waiting for something and then we'll get started here, okay? Just go ahead and start. Okay, Carlene, because you said you wanted to talk to us down here, and we are at the state trooper office, I'm just going to read your Miranda advisement, okay? Okay, you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand that? Okay, anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. Do you understand that? Okay, you have the right to talk to the lawyer, have him present before and during any questioning. Do you understand that? Okay, if you cannot afford to hire one will be appointed to represent you free of charge before and during questioning if you wish. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, you can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand that? Do you understand each of these rights that I've explained to you?
Yes.
Okay, having these rights in mind, do you wish to talk to me about the events?
No, I'd like to speak to a lawyer.
You want to talk to a lawyer?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, I guess I won't ask you any questions then. All right, so at this time, Carlene, I'm going to be placing you under arrest, okay? Why don't you stand up, put your hands behind your back for me. Want to stand up for me, please?
Can you do me a favor? This is my cousin's. Can you just make sure she gets it back?
Your cousin that we
Yeah.
met tonight?
It's her daughter's.
Okay. And that as well?
Oh yeah, this is mine. Just tell her I want her to keep it.
Okay. I will make sure she gets these. So, Investigator Ching, what's our course of action?
She's under arrest for murder.
Okay. Can you stand by in this room for just a second? Well, I'll start getting on
Is that
the phone.
tight?
Yeah, a little bit on this side.
You have to look too loose, right?
Pardon?
That's fine.
I'm gonna double lock you so they don't tighten up on you. Okay, just have a seat right there for me.
We'll, do you want to, well, let's step outside the door for a moment.
Sure.
Carlene Charlie was charged with first-degree murder. At trial, she was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years in prison. In 2024, after serving 9 years of her sentence, Charlie was sent to a halfway house. Charlie disappeared shortly after arriving, sparking a frantic manhunt. A few days later, she was located and arrested for unlawful evasion in the first degree.